Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today, what I want to talk about is a guide to doing 36 or 40 of the challenges in the Delirium League. The first thing I want to point out is that I feel that this is the easiest league ever in which to hit 40 of 40. I haven't actually done it myself as yet, but it's the things that you need to do to get there are just not nearly as grindy as in some previous leagues, nor are they as difficult, especially given how overpowered relative to all historic content in the game our characters can get now. So, especially if you're playing one of the absolutely broken Purposeful Harbinger builds that stack Aura Effect in order to just basically get tremendously high stats, you know, stratospheric levels of damage output alongside 90% to all elemental resists, but also essentially, very importantly, 90% to physical resistance and 85 to 90% to chaos resistance as well. This can allow you to create absolutely ludicrously strong characters, and so the content that's added in the Delirium League, such as defeating Omniphobia or Kosis, these are much harder than anything that's existed previously, but they're quite doable because our characters are just so powerful, and then that renders previous content like All, or who's not on the challenges, or Uber Elder, or High Templar Venerius in the Cortex, renders those relatively inconsequential in comparison. Anyways, the first 28 challenges I consider to be easier. Those ones are not covered in this video, and they're covered in my guide to 12, that covers what I feel are the easiest 13, and my guide to 24, which covers the next 15. So if you do all the challenges outlined there, you'll get to 28. If you're missing one or two of them, then you might be sitting at 26, and then you'll need to do most but not all of these to hit 36. Of course, if your goal is to hit 40, you need to do every last one. So let's go through them. Firstly, defeat Conquerors of the Atlas. This is something that I think every 36 of 36 player will get through natural gameplay anyway. The reason that I didn't put it in my advice for 24 is because Sirus the Awakener of Worlds is an extremely difficult fight. However, if you're someone that is serious about going for 36, you will either be able to do this fight yourself, or potentially even rolling up a character that can beat it. If your main mapping character can't beat Sirus, potentially rolling up a dedicated boss killing character for him. Or, alternately, if you're in a trade league, it's just as simple as jumping into the Trade 820 channel, which is where services and challenge completion get sold from player to player, and then saying, hey, I've got a Sirus Awakener level 8, if you can kill the boss, you can have the loot, but I want you to pay me an Exalted Orb. That's a pretty fair trade. Most people will consider that okay, and in fact you might even be able to ask more than one Exalt, because Sirus, well, most of the time you don't get much in the way of loot from him. There is a very significant chance to get a 10 to 50 Exalted Orb drop in the form of one of the top orbs, or top Awakened support gems, or in the form of the Saviour. So for that reason, you can certainly sell your Sirus instance to another player, and then you need to leave the instance, they'll be able to get their loot. Alternately, there's plenty of people who will kill your Sirus for you, for a fee of maybe 50 chaos or 80 chaos, in which case the loot remains with you. There's a lot of issues with trust involved in buying and selling these services, so just always assume that the other player might not be truthful, and if you've got any concerns, just ask in the channel, hey, I'm considering getting this character to kill my boss for me. His name is 420/69/blaze-it/haha you got scammed. Can anyone vouch for them? If they're known as a scammer, you'll get a whole bunch of tells saying, yeah, don't use that guy. Alternately, if they're new, you won't get any feedback, but most people who scam do it a lot. Anyway, so that's defeat Conquerors of the Atlas. Turning Divination Cards. This is one that I've put here mainly because it's something that's a little bit mean in solo self-found. And when I say a little bit mean, I mean that this is basically a total and utter brick wall if you're in one of the solo self-found leagues. For a Scarab, you want the Divination card Chimeria's Cut. This is pretty rare, and it drops from Chimeria, the Cold-Blooded, in the Betrayal content. For a Shaper or Elder item, this is the reason that this is not been included in the 24 challenge guide. There's plenty of cheap divination cards, such as Perfection, easy to pick up a set of in a trade league. I think it costs you about an Exalted Orb to get a set. Or the Void of the Elements. Those are easy to compile a set of in a trade league, but to actually find them yourself in solo self-found is absolutely brutal. I think that the vast majority of SSF players will not be able to complete this at all. This challenge will just be beyond you if you're an SSF. For a 6-linked item, turn in a Tabula Rasa for this. The Humility Divination card drops a lot in Waterways maps, it drops a lot in the Channel map, and it drops a little bit in the Blood Aqueduct in Act 9. Get yourself a set of 9, and boom, you've got yourself a 6-linked item. Alternately, one of the options for a 2 implicit unique item is my Divination card, the Price of Loyalty, and that will also serve, that will get you credit for both Part 5 and Part 3. Stack your currency is really easy. There's a common Divination card that gets you 5 of a random currency item, and a unique map is also pretty easy. That comes from the Divination card, the Encroaching Darkness, which you'll get. The Encroaching Darkness is somewhat rare. I feel like you get it about once in 100 maps, and you get it more in maps that are naturally red maps. However, if you're just mapping a lot, if you're going for 36, you will get a set of that yourself. In fact, you'll probably get it by the time you hit 24. For 2 implicit corrupted unique, the easiest one, although I mentioned Price of Loyalty before, the easiest one to get for this is the Divination card for a random 2 implicit corrupted unique item. That is called Arrogance of the Vaal, and it drops in the Sunken City and Ancient City map tile sets. From memory, it takes about 20 maps, assuming that you're Chisel, Elk, and Go. About 20 maps to get a set of that, so it's uncommon, but it's certainly far from rare. Next up, we have Complete Delirium Encounters 4. Now, this one is gated behind having a powerful character. Complete maps that have maximum Delirium applied. So this means you need to throw 5 Delirium Orbs onto a map. For a twin map is easy, you can do that on a low tier map, and whilst it's not trivial, this should be easy for anyone that's got high level characters. Rare map at Awakening level 8. This should also be pretty easy. Once you hit Awakening level 8, it's just a matter of going and doing it. If you're concerned about the rare map being difficult, you can always transmute and then regal a map to get really trivial mods. Note also that this does not need to be a high tier map. People think Awakening level 8, everything on my Atlas is now tier 14 and higher, but it doesn't need to be, because you can use one of your leftover low tier maps from back when you were running low tier content. Elder Guardian and Shaper Guardian map, these are brutal. So these are sourced as a, if you've got Awakening level 8, when you kill a map boss in a tier 14 and higher map, you'll have a 4% chance to drop an Elder Guardian map and a 4% chance to drop a Shaper Guardian map. You can just scour these, and in fact I would highly recommend that you do so, but even then, 100% Delirium, Guardian of the Hydra, or Guardian of the Chimera, or Phoenix, or whatever, or Minotaur, all these are going to be brutally hard fights. One thing that does help you is that if you're familiar with the Delirium mechanics and the boss mechanics that they get from them, you'll find that often your monsters will, you'll be fighting a monster, say a Guardian of the Hydra that's got Delirium on it, and they will stop doing their normal Hydra Guardian attacks and start doing a Delirium attack like Frozen Plume. That can actually help you. It can buy you time and make it easier, not harder. Anyway, this just requires a brutally powerful character for brutally difficult combat encounters. If you're playing a Herald stacking build, you should find this trivial. If you are not playing a Herald stacking build, but you're in a trade league, then it's time to find someone that is, and let them basically cheat the encounter for you. Lastly, one thing that you can do to really cheese this, if you get 5 of the most expensive Delirium Orbs, which is the Divination ones, and apply them to the same Shaper Guardian map, then you can use Fractured Fossils to make mirrored copies of that map. Way cheaper than sourcing another 5 Delirium Orbs, 5 of the right Delirium Orb, and also will give you another Hydra Guardian fragment when you can kill it. That's something that can be a little lucrative money spinner on the side, but that again requires a really powerful character, because then you need to be able to beat these with rare maps rather than just white maps, and with mods that you can't control. Next up, explore the Atlas. This is just all about going and running lots and lots and lots of maps at Awakening level 8. You need to run almost the whole Atlas, 90% of it, and whilst you need to do that 90%, at the top tier the map is available, and whilst at Awakening level 8. This should be pretty easy. You can do it with white maps, it's just grindy. Simulacrum 1. This requires a very powerful character. The 5th, 10th, and 15th waves are easy. Any average to powerful character, so anyone Shaper capable or even close to Shaper capable will have no trouble up to the 15th wave of the Simulacrum. But then 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 get harder, much harder. And you need to do 20 because you need to complete the Simulacrum. These are just little waypoints, sort of reminders that are there. You also need to kill Omniphobia, who is easy, or Chance.The Revelation, who is brutally difficult, whilst they're in the Simulacrum. Most runs will have both of them spawn at some point, and for most players, Chance.The Revelation spawning in the Simulacrum is the end of that Simulacrum run. It is certainly possible to beat him. Plenty of people that are doing it all the time, but he is miles and miles and miles. Like he is a massive leap ahead in difficulty of everything that comes before. And next up we have complete these encounters 4. Defeat a possessed rogue Exile. This one there's an easy way to do it and there's a hard way to do it. I'm only going to talk about the easy way, and that is to source the prophecy Deadly Rivalry 3, 4, or 5 and run it. That's all you need to do. No complex stuff about shenanigans involving ghosts and anything like that. No, just source the prophecy Deadly Rivalry 3, 4, or 5 and fight the Exile that spawns. It will already be ghosted. Solved. The hard way of doing this is not even worth discussing. Exchange Parandis coins with Kadiro Parandis. You will need to force Parandis onto your maps. To do this, you'll need 120 Atlas bonus, at which point Parandis will become a Zana mod, or alternately, you can use the Parandis Scarabs. However, you probably won't get, although you'll get a lot of Scarabs in this league, you won't get enough for that. Defeat a Bestiary boss is an RNG-based challenge, but it's a pretty reasonable one. It's just a matter of running lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of Einhar missions, and you'll have no trouble there. Atsuri in the Temple of Atsuatl. This one I put this one is the reason that this is in the 36 challenge section. Atsuri is brutally deadly in the Temple of Atsuatl. Atsuri's room gives 20% action speed and movement speed to all monsters in the temple. That's just by virtue of it being there. So, firstly, you need to succeed in forcing Atsuri into the temple. This is RNG based and will require a lot of Elva missions. Then once you get her there, you'll need to actually kill her. And whilst Atsuri, a lot of people I think that are doing 36 will be confident they can beat Atsuri in the Alluring Abyss. It's something different entirely to beat Atsuri when she has movement speed buffs. So for that reason, this is actually a really difficult challenge. It's doable. One thing I suggest if you're in a trade league that you do is that you find other players that are also looking to do this. And if you spawn Atsuri in your temple and you're very confident you can take her down, then find those other players through a place like Trade 820, invite them to your map, and get them to pay you for the privilege. Lots of people will be very happy to jump in on a deal like that. Defeat map bosses whilst they're under the effects of Delirium. There is an easy way to do this, and there is a hard way. The easy way to do this is to roll twinned Tier 3 Vaal Temple maps. Vaal Pyramid. Vaal Pyramid has 3 maps of bosses in it, and all you need to do then is just zip to the boss as quickly as you can, holding Delirium up the whole time. Vaal Pyramid's not the only map you can use. You can use Racecourse, you can use any of the other inherently twinned maps. Additionally, you can throw a cheap and nasty Delirium orb on it, such as an Armorsmith's Delirium orb, and then you'll have all the time in the world to rush to the boss. Each time you do that, you'll get 6 credit. And if you're in a trade league, what you should do is find other players that are looking for progress on this. Form a group. If each of you brings 10 twinned Vaal Pyramid maps, and there's a group of 6 of you, and you run all 60 of those maps, you're going to get 360 credit each towards this challenge. That's pretty smooth, I think, and that'll make this much easier than it otherwise would be. Complete the Epilogue Questline. This is just gated behind killing Sirus. So the difference between this and defeat the Conquerors of the Atlas, the earlier challenge, Conquerors of the Atlas you can do on anyone's Atlas. This one you need to be on your own. So it needs to be your own Sirus. You'll need to spawn him, then you'll need to kill him. Everything else that is in here is a prerequisite for spawning Sirus in the first place. Simulacrum 2. Complete a wave of monsters which spawns 2 bosses at once. People have done a little bit of investigation into this. It seems like it's about a 1 in 7, 1 in 6, 1 in 7 chance that when you run a Simulacrum, you'll get both bosses in the same wave. So people are reporting 15, 16, 17 per 100 runs. So it's uncommon, but it's not genuinely rare. Run a bunch of Simulacrums, and if you get this, well, you're in for a fight. This is going to be extremely difficult in solo self-found where you can't call in help. If you're in Trade League, you can get someone that's got an ultra-powerful build to just stomp them both. You can't do that in SSF. You're going to have to actually kill Kosis, and Kosis is hard. Rampage Streak 300 in the Simulacrum is really basically trivial. All you need to do is equip a Rampage item. Bisco's Leash being the best of them. However, one thing that's very important to note here is that you need, of course, to own one of these if you're in SSF. There's no really good way to target farm a Rampage unique in SSF, so that's a big layer of RNG for getting that. Waves of monsters in the Simulacrum is as simple as running 5 Simulacrums and completing them all, or 6 and getting most of the way through. Deadly Encounters. Uber Elder. Uber Elder is now found by kill a Shaper twice, and you'll receive a Fragment of Shape, a Fragment of Knowledge. If you're unlucky, which 50% of you will be, then you will get 2 of the same fragment. You'll need to kill a Shaper again. Then do the same with the Elder Guardians and get the other 2 fragments. That will then give you access to Uber Elder. Uber Elder is a pretty difficult fight. I've made a separate guide on this channel about that fight. High Templar Venarius in the Cortex is much harder. That's the hard fight here. So High Templar Venarius is accessed by getting the Cortex unique map, which is a genuinely rare drop whenever you kill a map boss in Awakening level, a high Awakening level, and map tier 14 or higher maps. So that's one way you can get it. The other way you can get it is by Zana opening a portal to the Cortex just through dumb luck. Sometimes she'll give it to you as a map, as an option. Lastly, Zana sometimes sells the Cortex map as well. Every time she sells a Synthesis unique map, you should buy it. They're worth a lot more than she sells them for, but that is especially true of the Cortex. Domain of Timeless Conflict is just a matter of running legions in maps until you've got 100 of each of 2 different splinters. Then put 2 emblems in and just run. That should be easy. Mastermind in area level 83. This one's important. I don't actually know if this allows you to use 84, 85, or 86. If you are someone that is using the unique Watchstones, you'll see here that I'm using a Territories Unknown isn't the right one. I'm using the unique Watchstone Terror here, +1 to monster level of area. This can push your maps over tier 16. This could actually push Katarina to a monster level of 84, 85, or 86. I do not know if you get credit for beating Katarina at 84, 85, or 86. If that happens, it's going to suck to find out. So what I suggest you do is that you spawn Katarina without ever having used those Watchstones. It's too late for me. I didn't think of it in time. Alternately, you can just run Katarina, then spawn her again. Leave to Chance. This is pure luck. Use Orbs of Chance to generate 10 of the following 12 outcomes. What you're going to want to do is get all of them except Unique Map and Unique Weapon. Unique Strongbox and Unique Jewels are not that hard to chance because there's a lot of hits for both of them. Also, Unique Weapon can be an option as well if you put in a weapon that is particularly common. Unique Jewels, really common because there's so many possibilities. Also, additionally, chancing jewels isn't terrible because you get your rare ones. Rare ones can sometimes be good. So yeah, that's what you want to do here. This is just a matter of wasting an enormous amount of Orbs of Chance. So basically, you're going to want to pick these up in a trade league. If you're in a trade league, you're going to want to buy a bunch of these sooner rather than later. Don't wait to the end. Orbs of Chance are going to get really expensive when a lot of people realize that they need to finish this challenge. I'd expect you're going to be wasting maybe 700, 800, maybe 1,000 Orbs of Chance on average to get this, although of course some of you will get it quicker than that. Endgame Grinds being the last one. As always, there are 4 easiest ones and there are some absolute bastards. So level 100 is an absolute bastard. That entails just an enormous amount of mapping or breachstone runs and just not dying. Delve Encounters in the mine at area level 80 or higher is trivial. This is just about playing a lot of Delve, but not even a massive amount. Just a moderate amount of delving. If you get to depth 350 or so, you'll definitely have this done. Dark Shrines in the Endgame Labyrinth, don't do this unless you're a masochist. If you hate fun, then do this one. Complete Blighted Maps. 50 Blighted Maps should be easy. They get shat out this league by several mechanics, especially the Simulacrum, but also just by blights in maps. 50 of them is going to take a while. If you're in a trade league, you can find a group of you, say 5 of you, that each bring 8 maps and run them together. That'll get you 48. Sorry, if you've got 6 of you, then that'll be 48. If you've got 5 of you, then that'll be 40. That'll be a huge start. Conquerors of the Atlas is all about playing the game a lot, and Waves of Monsters in the Simulacrum is about buying a bunch of Simulacrum maps off other players and running them. If you are playing solo self-found, you probably actually want to skip that one and do level 100 instead. Anyways, that's all I got for the moment. If you've got any comments or questions, fire away below. Otherwise, I hope you have